In 1964, Simon and Garfunkel released the acoustic version of their most iconic song, The Sounds of Silence. It's been said that that song indicates people's inability to communicate emotionally, to communicate from heart to heart, from soul to soul, because something deep is missing within them. Perhaps, as you and I would think, my dear friends of Christ, we who are of faith, someone deep is missing from them because they haven't welcomed that person into their life, into their heart, into their whole being. The sounds of silence. Lent offers us that grace, the capacity to welcome the sound of silence, precisely so that we can have a heart-to-heart connection with the one who is more deep than the deepness of this earth, the one who is the most profound being of all, God. Silence, as St. John of the Cross tells us, is God's first language. God speaks in silence, and when you and I allow silence to become part of our life, we hear God and we can respond. Mass in Lent allows this opportunity for silence a little bit more than we have in every Mass throughout the year. Silence throughout the year in every Mass is important for us to contemplate, to meditate, and to hear God's voice and respond. In particular, though, in Lent, there's a portion of the Mass that is missing. A part of the Mass that we have throughout ordinary time, but that we do not have in Lent. We also don't have it in Advent. And that is the glory to God. We do not sing the glory to God, the Gloria, in the Masses in Lent, precisely so that we can focus on the silence, that desert time, if you will, of Lent. We know that Jesus goes into the wilderness and is tempted by the devil. Jesus is there for 40 days and for 40 nights. And my friends in Christ, if you've ever spent any time in the wilderness or in the desert, it's silent. You won't hear anything in the desert. You might hear some wind if the wind's coming up, but otherwise it is peaceful, quiet, and stillness. No sound at all. Anything that might make a sound, at least during the daytime, is underneath the sand, keeping quiet, is hidden. It's those hidden moments in which God can speak to us most powerfully and most audibly, in those moments of silence, if we're willing to hear. The Mass in Lent, with the absence of the Gloria, allows an opportunity for us, for you and for me, after the penitential prayer or the penitential rite, to think and to open our hearts more and more wide to God's love and to His grace. And it also allows us to have that silence in between that and the collect, the opening prayer, so that we can remember something's missing. And I don't have to fill that something up with anything of myself, just like we have the temptation to fill silence with noise. Let us allow that silence to reign. Let us allow that silence, that quiet, that space in the liturgy to, quote unquote, be empty. Because if there's an emptiness, it is God Himself who will fill it in His time, and He will fill it at Easter, when we will sing the glory to God. But until then, my dear friends of Christ, until then, let us, you and me, allow this sacred silence to be heard by remaining still and by making space for grace.